I'm Phil Bolton with the Global Atlanta News Service, and I'm with Bruce Cotterman, the Managing Director of the Bass Group, and his daughter Amanda, who has just come in to Atlanta from Hong Kong, where she's working now. Bruce, tell us about the Bass Group.
The Bass Group is a management consulting firm. We focus on execution of strategies and accomplishing plans, and we focus on that because everybody has them. Few actually accomplish them well. And that's the commonality we have in the international group, is helping them execute plans, whether they're coming to the U.S. or somebody's going overseas. We also work with companies coming to the U.S. to help them understand how to do business here, because it's culturally different once you come. And an area that we have that's rapidly growing is helping companies overseas, larger consulting firms, for example, who are looking for experts, specialists, subject matter experts to go in specific areas. So we're supplying them, often subcontracting our people to them.
Amanda, were you curious when your dad would leave home and go off to these far distant places?
I always was, and I always received postcards in the mail that kind of showed me where he was. And I was lucky enough to travel with him on a few of his business trips, which piqued my interest in international business and traveling abroad.
So how did you implement that interest into your life?
Well, currently I focus on Asia, China specifically, and one memorable trip was when I went with my dad on a tour for about a month and a half of 6 countries in Asia that he was working in. And that was where I first started my interest in Asia. I saw there's something unique going on over there that we hadn't really seen in the U.S. yet. And then I started reading up specifically on China and its history and what was going on in the 50s and 60s there. And then there was a lot of news around that in the 90s. And then I realized once I got to college, China was what I wanted to focus on and continue with business. And I majored in economics and Chinese studies.
How old were you on that first trip?
I was probably a junior in high school at the time.
And was it fun for you to have her come with you?
Oh, it was. You know, when you're on a business trip, you know airports, you know hotels, you don't really get to know the country. And for the first time, I actually got to go out and enjoy the country. And my business associates allowed Amanda to join us and showed us around.
We hear a lot today about the world being flat. How do you consider that phrase?
Oh, that's a really good question, because I saw that in the 90s, and that's why I came back. And I used to take Amanda down to Buford Highway in Atlanta, where all the signs were multilingual, and I said, "That's your competition." She went to Lovett School, and I said, "That's not your competition. These kids here are multilingual, they're hungry, they're intelligent, and they want a better life." And you saw that. And I came back and I said, "You have to be fluent in a second language." I said, if you're truly going to be international, it doesn't matter what the language is. But I said, English is the common language. I don't think Northern Europeans could speak to Southern Europeans. I don't think Asians can talk among themselves if it wasn't for English.
I totally agree that the world is flat. You can't function without another language these days. You are seeing more and more people travel, but also with the concept of a world is flat, you're seeing that individuals in other countries don't need to come to America per se to work and move up the corporate ladder. They can do it in their own home country. And that's what I've seen as well in China and where I work in Hong Kong. A lot of the individuals I work with, some have gone to university overseas, but some have stayed in China for their education and have joined multinational firms and have been able to leverage their understanding of their own culture.
Everybody is so astounded by the extraordinary growth that has taken place in all these cities. We have representatives here now from Ningbo and Wuhan and throughout China, and they're all talking about construction, new companies, dynamism as well. When you come back to Atlanta, does it seem very provincial? Does it seem like small potatoes?
It doesn't seem like small potatoes. The One thing is that I think it's just by sheer size of Asia, the hustle and bustle I haven't seen anywhere else in the world. It's something unique to Asia. And so when I do come back to the U.S. stateside, it is kind of a step back in a slower pace of life, which is nice. But I see a lot of the same things I see in Asia. I mean, you're saying they're coming over here and telling us what's going on in Asia, but we're definitely over there, be it Georgia or the U.S. You see Western influence everywhere.